Hello, hello. Welcome. Welcome. I am excited to be on this journey, to be here with you. And so I welcome you to 40 and Pregnant again. I am Dr. Tamare Piersaint. I am a wife, a mom, a daughter, a professional psychologist, a certified rehabilitation counselor, a licensed professional counselor, a professor in psychology, a small business owner, and more. I know it's a lot of hot hats to wear. I wear a number of hats, and like many of you watching, the hats that I wear, I'm very proud of them, but one that I'm truly proud of, one that I am honored to have been given the opportunity to hold such a title is mom. I am humbled and honored and you name it, tickled and thrilled to be called mom. Sometimes I probably want to put some earplugs in when you hear mom, especially when dad's like right there. But at the end of the day, to be called mom, to have an opportunity to hold such a title is something I wouldn't give up for the world. So, thank you for joining me tonight. A little bit about me. I am the mama to a dynamic, loving, compassionate, and intelligent 14-year-old young man named Miles. My husband and I learned that I was expecting shortly after we returned back from our honeymoon. You could say that it was a hole in one. And although I was in my 20s at the time and pregnant with my first child, the pregnancy journey wasn't a walk in the park by any means at all. You know, sometimes you hear people say that, the younger you are, not only are you more fertile, but pregnancy will be a smoother process. That is not the truth for everyone. And so I learned that very early on. And by the time, again, that I was pregnant with Miles, I was placed on bed rest by month 3. I won't say too much about that tonight because we'll have much more time together to cover this as the weeks go on. But think about that. In your 20s, newlywed, placed on bed rest by month 3. That does take a toll on folks. Now, I am 40 and I'm getting ready to start all over again. And to be honest, I couldn't be more excited. Over the next few weeks, I will share my journey with you, now in my 3rd trimester. I also have several phenomenal women who will join me starting next week, who they too became mamas later in life. So by the end of this series, my hope is that you will find comfort, you will feel connected, and be more empowered to advocate for yourself as you navigate late life pregnancy. Or at the least, if you're contemplating conceiving, or maybe even supporting a person in their journey, you'll be equipped with the knowledge and the tools to be of support or to take care of yourself. So for today, I thought I'd share a little bit about mental wellness. Starting with some stats, for example. There are more than 100,000 women in the United States who are in their 40s giving birth every year. That's a lot. That's a lot of women. At one point in time, the term used, and honestly, in many places, they still use this term to describe women who were pregnant in later life, was geriatric pregnancy. Like, could you believe that? geriatric pregnancy? Like, who wants to be considered a geriatric pregnant person? But at one point in time, that is what they used to call us seasoned mamas. Geriatric pregnant women. Now the term advanced maternal age is a bit more common. So a little bit again about mental health. Now that we are medically a bit more advanced, a lot more advanced, I should say, here in the United States, to hear examples of how many women die while giving birth is mind-blowing. For example, in 2019 alone, just in 2019, a whopping 754 women lost their lives while giving birth. I don't know if that's nerve-wracking to you, but that's nerve-wracking. For women who are of advanced maternal age, as seasoned mamas, that number at times is even greater. In 2019, again, looking at just the advanced maternal age women, about 75.5% for every 75.5 women. I don't know why it's a 0.5, but just roughly 75, almost to 80 women for every 100,000 live births lost their lives. So putting us seasoned mamas in this category where we are 6 times more likely to die while giving birth. I don't know about you, but for me, as a human being, that is scary. So mental health, mental wellness is of utmost importance when thinking about conceiving later in life, having a surprise pregnancy later in life as a seasoned mama. Any of the above can be something that really shakes one to the core. And so addressing mental wellness is really important. So I won't spend too much time tonight because we are going to have lots of time to spend over the next few weeks. But I want to give you, like I said, I'm going to talk about mental health a little bit tonight. So I want to give you an idea of, for example, my own personal journey, learning that I was pregnant at 40. So, first of all, I started off with a torn labrum. So I tore my labrum trying to get fit out of all things. And it was going through that I learned that I was pregnant. I was excited. Still am. And that excitement quickly became really genuine concern. Concern for my well-being, concern for my family, concerned about employment, managing the number of hats that I wear, concern about making sure that my loving kiddo, who's 14, could be well adjusted to the idea that they now will become a big brother. So there were all those thoughts that are natural thoughts, to be honest, natural thoughts for one to have. And as I was experiencing those thoughts, I pushed them aside most of the time until those ridiculous pregnancy nightmares started. The ridiculous pregnancy nightmares of losing the baby, of not being able to celebrate because of complications, of not being able to work because of complications, having flashbacks of the traumatic pregnancy I experienced with my first kiddo came to mind. And so I'm thankful that I'm in the field, so that definitely served as a buffer. And my faith and belief in Christ helped as a buffer as well, because I drew on those for strength, in addition to reaching out to my family, for example. But I found that there were times where I didn't necessarily want to share those thoughts with anyone. I didn't necessarily want to tell people what I was thinking. And in part because I wanted to protect myself. I knew that connecting was important because I teach that. I encourage that. I share with my students, with my clients, with those who know me, that we were not created to be alone. Hence why I'm doing this, right? Well, one of the reasons why I'm doing this. We were not created to be alone. And so when we go through certain life stressors, when we go through certain trials, we oftentimes think that if we keep it to ourselves, if we push through, no one needs to know anything, it will be fine. When in actuality, in some cases that is the truth, but in actuality, it's really important to actually be connected to those who may have had their own lived experience, who can provide support and empathize, to connect with professionals who are willing to listen. That's important. Willing to listen and support us on our journey, to connect with those who truly have our best interests at heart. And so sharing my thoughts, my worries at times, which again, they are to be expected. Sharing those with my husband, my sister, and some select few close folks really helped me reframe my thoughts at times when I needed to reframe them. So, mental wellness while pregnant is important. We know that, like here, I'm going to put on my clinical hat here. We know that women who are pregnant, if they're in stressful environments that expose them to verbal abuse, physical abuse, if there's financial stressors, any stress that can be more than that person can bear, it leaves this little imprint on their little person that they're carrying. And although over time it doesn't mean that young person will be born with a psychological issue or mental illness, but it does leave an imprint where genetically it alters parts of their gene. And so they have a predisposition, they're predisposed to mental illness because of the stress that mom experienced and passed on in utero. So knowing all of that information, having that at my disposal, it was really important to me to create an environment that was as stress-free as possible. So, what does that look like for me? Not answering everyone's calls. Not entertaining all kinds of conversations. Putting myself, not just physical distance, but really distancing myself from some of the relationships that I was willing to continue to engage in, to be supportive, even at times when it was unhealthy for me. And so knowing that information, I became really protective of my little person in my belly, in my tummy. I became really protective of myself and really protective of the guys in my household, so my husband, our son, and making sure that the environment over the course of these nine months, or not 9 months yet, but over the course of this pregnancy, was an environment that, even though I know that the likelihood of medical stressors, which they are here, would come down the pike, undue stress was something that things that I couldn't control, I would control. And so that meant removing myself from certain environments, not entertaining several calls, social media platforms, etc. Being really intentional about the time that I spend with others, about who gets to spend time with me, and what I entertain. And it was a bit of an adjustment. Not necessarily for me, but for those who were used to having access to me all the time. When you are pregnant, whether you are 25, 18, 45, protecting your wellness, mental wellness, is important. Not only for yourself, but for the little person, or if you're a mama carrying multiple babies, protecting them as well. If we can stop or interrupt potential childhood traumatic experiences in utero as early as possible, that is best. So, I'm going to wrap it up here. I won't stay too long. Takeaways for today. Being 40 and over, being a well-seasoned mama is something to celebrate. Something to be proud of. It's a badge that I hope you wear with honor. Stand up tall. It's okay. Don't allow anyone to take this joy away from you. That's one. Two, your mental well-being is really important. And that's mental well-being for yourself as well as your unborn child. So decide who will be part of this journey with you. Decide what information, what external stressors, external anything that you're going to allow in your circle. Create a protective bubble for yourself and your little one. And three, it is completely normal to have anxieties, fears of the unexpected. Now, what's important is to not stay there, but really seek support in a number of ways. Through close relationships, those who can speak based on their experience, their lived experience, and can support you, as well as clinical licensed professionals who can provide you with support as you go on the journey. So I hope you come back next week. Every Friday at 7 p.m. for several weeks. I will have a special guest with me next week. A mama who also became a seasoned mama later in life, who will share her story. And if you have questions that you would like for her to answer, touch upon, write them down in the chat. And I'll be sure to ask her those questions and get her to answer those questions as well. But what we'll do is not only have her speak, but we will talk about issues that arise around mental wellness, self-advocacy, finance, navigating medical concerns, and you'll get to hear a little bit more about my journey as well. So I look forward to seeing you. I hope that you share the information that you have heard today with others. Again, whether they are walking through this journey, supporting someone on this journey, it is really important to remain connected and be intentional about who you allow in your circle to take part of this journey with you. So, I am again Dr. Tamare Piersaint, and I look forward to the next few weeks with you, talking about 40 and pregnant again, and supporting the millions of mamas around the world who are 40 plus and going through this late life journey. Enjoy your evening, the weekend, and I look forward to seeing you next week. As a reminder, if you subscribe and hit the notification bell, you will be notified when I am coming on, just so that you don't forget. And as always, you can always watch the replay of this. Enjoy the weekend. Thanks for being with me. Bye.